Okay.
There we are.
I'll tell me when to start recording.
I'm alive.
Oh, okay. Oh, looks like I haven't got any audio sources yet. I only be outputting a blank screen. Are you sure you want to do this? Video sources. Yes, I do want to do that.
We're live, Chris.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
We're dancing.
Okay. Hello.
Hello.
It hasn't come up yet, so we've still got a bit of a delay before I can see it.
Now we're up. I can see it. It's live.
Oh, okay. Is there sound? That's the main point. It hasn't come up Oh,
yet.
wait, no, because
Yeah,
I haven't gone to forward.
You
Oh,
monster.
I was looking back in time.
This is what happens. This is what happens when Chris tries to do stuff live. He accidentally doesn't put the video live and then puts it back 5 minutes, so we're sat here watching ourselves dancing like idiots.
For like 5 minutes.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate it.
I wasn't dancing as much as I think I could have. I think my attention was elsewhere. Yes.
Anyway, hello everyone and welcome to the Polygon Forest. I am Ubisoft concept artist Vin Hill and I am joined as ever by the wonderful Mr. Christopher Jarvis.
Hello.
Who is also an indie
dev.
developer. I will get it right one day. I will get it right. I promise. One day I will get it right. Chris is an indie developer. That's right.
On the side.
On the side, when he can be bothered.
Best kind.
Best kind. Indeed.
Yeah.
But yeah, this week we're going to be talking about some stuff that's been happening around Nintendo, as well as some other little bits of news. But yeah.
Not The Last of Us, as our shirts would suggest.
Right, we are doing some pretty horrific Joel impressions right now. Although, yeah.
Got some Joel going on.
Yeah, we got the beards.
Or is it Ellie? No, it's Joel.
It's definitely Joel.
If we got the... Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think Ellie's got a beard, if I'm honest. I don't remember that.
No.
I would have remembered that.
There's
Anyway.
a good reason why I'm wearing this one.
Oh,
It's because it's quite loose fitting.
Oh, okay. I've heard that you've...
It must be breathable.
Right, for something
For
that's... Right, for your nipples. Like, if people don't know, Chris got his nipples pierced, like, really weirdly. I don't know why, but he decided to announce this. And he wanted to show us today, so I guess you're going to show us your piercings? Like, go ahead.
Should I get it out?
You should get them out, absolutely. Brace yourself. Here we go.
This is good internet.
Yep.
Here we go.
Right,
Okay.
here come the nips.
Oh, good. Got my wife beater on.
Right, no, right.
That's actually that.
Oh, so it wasn't your nipples. Oh, that's a shame.
No, it was my Aloy tattoo, Horizon Zero Dawn.
Very cool.
There we go.
Yeah.
By
So-
a great artist, Ursh. Shout out.
Sweet.
She does video game tattoos mainly.
Yeah.
Full color tattoos. And I got that done on Friday.
Nice. Yeah, no, it looks good, man. Like, I saw pictures of
days.
it on Twitter, and, like, I think you said it was only halfway done, right? You got a second day to do?
Yeah, so I've still got a full day of color to do to finish it. But yeah, the hair's done and the face is done.
Very cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to get a tattoo. This is the thing. Like, I've just never gotten around to it because, like, I knew before, when we were in uni, like, I knew that I was probably going to be moving to Japan anyway, just for, like, a couple of years. And in Japan, like, it's really taboo to have a tattoo over there, or it was. Like, it's getting a bit lighter now. It's not so bad. But it was
Yeah,
really...
like on display.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really sort of frowned upon. So it was very much, like, I was conscious of that. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to wait until, like, I get back home, and then I'll get a tattoo and I'll do it properly. I just never got around to it. It's just something I've never really got to. So
I recommend it.
yeah,
It's nice.
I've had an idea for a tattoo in the back of my head for a while, and that's to
Game of the Year ones.
yeah, my Game of the Year tattoo idea, which is sort
Yeah.
of like just taking like an icon from every Game of the Year that I've ever had, like every single year. Like take an icon from something from the game, not anything too, not like the logo of the game or anything like that, but just something that people would know if they saw it, like if they were fans
Yeah.
of the game as well, and just having sort of like a matrix of that going up my arm, and I could just add to it every year, sort of thing. That'd be great. But yeah, I need to take the dive. But I'm glad yours.
So
is
what would
working
The
out.
Last of Us be? Would you have like a little zombie on you or something? Or
For the last of it, probably the Fireflies logo, I would guess, like the
yeah.
little stencil with the two wings. Like I'd probably get
Yeah.
that. Like eco
Yeah.
would be the horn, like the eco horn, like for the eye. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I could think of something for every single game of the year that I've had. Like the God of War would probably be a little axe, you know. That'd be cool.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that.
So you're glad that you did it? I can imagine you're quite nervous about going in, but coming out the other side of it looking
Yeah.
like that, you must be really happy.
Yeah, it was my first tattoo, so you know the unknown is always a bit scary. But yeah, no, it went really well. Apparently, I sat very well.
You sat well.
Design was great. The tattoo artist was great, and the whole experience was just really good fun. And yeah, it's not the last tattoo I'll get for sure. I've got my mind going. So yeah, I think it's great. Thinking maybe the World Eater from God of War, maybe like snaking around.
The World Serpent, you mean? Yeah.
The World Serpent, yeah, the World Serpent.
Yeah. That'd be
somehow snaking around, eating stuff. I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I've got some thoughts.
I bet you have. Christ.
We'll see.
No, it looks cool. I mean, for our listeners, like if you're watching this after the fact, if you're listening to this after the fact on Anchor, then go to
my Twitter.
Yeah, go to Chris's Twitter page. Like, where can people find you, man?
Acrylic Pixel, and on YouTube my channel is Acrylic Pixel, and yeah, give it a like. And then while you're at it, might as well give this video a like.
Indeed, yep, and give us subscribe as well, and also tell your friends and all that sort of good stuff.
Yeah, be like, hey, this guy got a Horizon Zero Dawn Aloy tattoo. Check this out.
Yeah, you should listen to him.
I've not actually found a good one that I like, so I was very apprehensive because if you Google like Aloy tattoo or like Horizon Zero Dawn tattoo,
right,
there's not good stuff that comes up that I've found that I'm like, oh, I want that. So this was like very much just trusting the artist. And I think this is like the first one I've seen. I'm like, damn, that's a good tattoo for that sort of thing.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
to sort of just like, if you want to sort of give the listeners, like the people that aren't watching this, sort of like an idea, like, do you want to describe it for them just real quick?
So it's kind of like a side profile of Aloy, from Horizon Zero Dawn, and she's got a focus on, because it's on my right arm, my right upper arm near my shoulder, and it's kind of like neo-traditional style, but the line work is quite fine, and it's in full color. Yeah, and it's half done, so it's not fully realized yet. I'm sure when we get it done, it's gonna be at least nearly the new year before it's finished, though, because there's a big old long waiting list.
Yeah, I bet. Cool, man. Yeah, very cool. But yeah, of course, we weren't here last week. We had
Vin's birthday.
Yeah, I got a bit older. I apologize. But yeah, I had to spend time with the wife and all that sort of good stuff. Went on vacation. I've been off work for the last 2 weeks as well, which has been great. Like a nice sort of breather. Whew. And I'm all refreshed and happy again. So, but we apologize that we weren't here last week. Life occasionally gets in the way, as it were.
Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Indeed. But sort of fill people in. Chris, over the past 2 weeks, what have you been playing?
So I finished Shadow of the Colossus.
Yay. And
it was like up there on my short list of like favorite games ever. It was maybe going to make it in like the top 5.
It feels like there's a but in here somewhere.
But
there we go.
the last boss happened.
Right.
And I just got so stuck. Like, so stuck. Like, looking at videos of people doing it and still couldn't do it stuck.
Right, I see.
And I tweeted, it was like, I've been stuck on this for nearly half an hour. I actually did the maths and it was more like an hour.
Yeah.
That I was stuck on it, even while knowing what to do.
Which part did you get stuck on? Like the... Because I know, like at the very beginning of the last Colossi, there's the lightning strikes, and you've got to dodge down in between, underneath into the caverns and stuff, and then you climb up the back of it, right?
Yes.
This one we're talking about, right?
No, this is the very last boss. This was right at the end. So I'd gone through the whole game, loved it, thought it was brilliant, thought the balancing was amazing.
Right.
And then I got to the very last Colossus. There's basically I don't want to give any spoilers away, but. Sure. Long story short, I knew what the animations were doing. I knew what I was supposed to do. It's just doing what I was supposed to do was very difficult, and failure sets you back just a time penalty.
Yeah.
And then I got frustrated and I closed it and I got it away. My son was watching as well. He was super excited, so he went away as well, and so we came back again, and that penalised you as well, so I had to start even earlier before, and that was really frustrating. So basically my major frustration is I got so sucked out of the actual story experience because it was so frustrating.
That That makes sense.
And it just really knocked off the top, like, it really just knocked it down the list of favorite video games, because I thought, I can't be the only one that's had this experience. It must be other people that have had it. And it doesn't feel like an achievement, like, oh, I got the last boss, it was really difficult, and, you know, I've won.
Yeah, there's a fine line between challenge and frustration, and like once you go past like that last line of frustration, then it turns into, okay, this is bad design now. Almost.
Yeah, so they dropped the ball right at the last minute. But at the end of it, I was still happy overall. I just can't say it's nearly, you know, I can't say it's a nearly brilliant video game. I can't say it's nearly perfect by a long stretch. And also the horse, somehow, maybe it's to do with the remake, I don't know, just kept getting worse and worse during the game.
Really?
Like it started working really well. The other thing that's cool, I didn't know you could do. Did you know you could hold on to fish?
I did know about this. You can also, like, you know, when you're riding along on your horse as well, and an eagle sort of swoops by down near you sometimes and like follows you around, then flies off again because it gets bored or whatever. You can actually, I don't know why you can actually like stand on your horse, like as you're riding along, as the bird swoops down, you can jump over to the bird and like hang on to it for a second, and
I didn't know you could hang on to the bird.
Hilarious.
I knew you could stand on the horse. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So there's some cool little bits and pieces.
Yeah,
but yeah, it doesn't make any sense. And like, you can duck while you're on the horse, but you don't need to duck when you're on the horse ever.
Yeah, there's a load of stuff, like you can stand on the horse like while you're riding it, and it never gives you a tutorial how to do it. You just can, but you never really need it that much,
because you can't shoot the bow and arrow when you're standing on the horse.
You can only stand on the horse. Yeah,
because there's one level where you need to be able to fire the bow and arrow off the horse, which again I thought was great, because that was great level design.
Right.
But so yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great game. I'm definitely gonna play Last Guardian off the back of this and Eco, but I just can't say it's a really greatly well designed game. I mean, I understand why it's a classic, 100%, and I really enjoyed most of it. But my God, that was so frustrating.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just used to modern games where they just make sure that they round off those edges, and maybe this is just one of those games where they just thought, let's just keep the edge and it's just part of it. Yeah,
I mean, the only sort of excuse I can give really is the fact that the game came out in 2005. It's quite a while old now, I guess. Like that's the only thing I can say for it. But I have actually heard this criticism before of the last boss, and I think probably I got a bit frustrated by it the first time I played the game, but I guess like I didn't have that experience with the remake because I already knew how to get past that bit, I guess. So like I'd already solved that problem, so I was just there for the ride for the remake, which I'd still argue is probably like one of the best remakes of any game ever so far.
I've seen videos of the old version, and the remake looks really cool.
Yeah, it looks
really awesome.
It's really close to the original as well, just in terms of what you call it, like the actual mechanics and stuff. They didn't mess with anything, like which is testament to the fact that like you're running into 2005 frustrations in a 2018 remake. So in a
2018 remake in 2020, we've got new generation of consoles.
Right, so, exactly. Yeah. So totally get it. But I do think like if you're leaning more towards like the eco side of the fence, then you'll probably enjoy The Last Guardian a bit more. The story in The Last Guardian is probably the strongest out of the three as well, I would say.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because that is what it was lacking, the Shadow of the Colossus. It's like, stories right at the beginning, literally nothing in the middle, and then literally right at the end, then the rest of the stories is,
I think you're going to enjoy The Last Guardian then.
Cool.
People slept on that game, man. Like, I don't understand. But...
What? Huh.
Yeah, I mean, it got 10 out of 10s, like, people were loving it, but just no one talked about it. Like, it was in the press one week and it was out the other.
Then it was just gone.
Yeah, it was gone.
Well, it's on the old, it's on the old PlayStation Classics PS Now thing, so that it's at least got that badge of honor, which I think it definitely deserves, 100%. So I was playing that. What else have I played? Played a bit more of F1 2020, but I'm getting a bit bored of that now. And I played some Little Big Planet 3.
Okay.
As well. So I downloaded Little Big Planet.
Oh wait, so this is the PlayStation 3 game, or is it on the PlayStation 4? I don't know anything about.
I'm playing it on the PlayStation 4 Pro, but I don't know when it was out. Little Big Planet 3. It was just on PS Now.
Okay.
E3 2014 was the announcement.
Yeah, it must have been a PS3 game.
So yeah, it's okay. It's fine. My boy who's 5 is trying to play it. He's finding it a bit difficult, so he's a bit young still to be able to grasp it. So that's interesting because it's very much leaning into the kid aesthetic, and he's finding it frustrating that he can't appreciate it or do it. Yeah. So it's definitely not for. Well, I'd say it's like, at least older than 5-year-olds.
Yeah.
But it looks like it's a kid's game for 5-year-olds. So that's an interesting critique, I suppose. But it's got Hugh Laurie, it's got Stephen Fry. So voice acting's top notch.
Nice. Yeah. No, I mean, Little Big Planet is made by Media Molecule, which is a UK-based company, actually. I think it's like one of the only few of the older anyway. They've got a few more now, but they like Sony. Digital. Yeah, there's
3.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess they outsourced that one. Yeah. I guess they outsourced that one.
But that's good. I like it.
Cool.
I like it. But yeah, Harrison, not so much. So he's fine with me playing it and then him watching. It's kind of cool. So we've got that kind of thing going on.
Yeah.
And what else have I been playing? I think that was it, actually. This week.
I mean, that's a good chunk.
I've been watching, squid-related television programs this week.
Just Splatoon trailers over and over again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Sam's joined us, by the way. So hi, Sam, for joining us live.
Sam.
Appreciate it.
No tats equals demonetized.
Yeah,
that's a good job I didn't get that then.
Yep, right, good.
Not that we're ever going to get monetized, Sam, but thank you for
Yeah, we appreciate the confidence. We'll see one day, maybe. Yeah, who knows.
But what have you been playing, Vin?
I played quite a lot actually this week.
This last time off, you had a holiday.
Yeah, I mean, well, not really. I mean, because I worked. But first and foremost, I guess, I worked a lot on my indie game over the past week. Anyway, I've not really touched any games this week, but I played quite a bit last week.
What's the working title?
What, of the game that I'm working on?
Yeah.
Long Gone.
Oh.
Because it's sort of set in a post-apocalyptic house, and all the people that you're sort of exploring are long gone. Get it? Because they're gone. It's Polygon change. Doesn't matter. But yeah, I've been working like crazy on the indie game for the past week. Finally figured out my inventory system so I can properly pick up stuff, drop stuff on the floor, put it into a separate container to sort of inspect it and be able to spin it around and flip it, but also be able to interact with it within the sort of inspector container. So if I spawn a set of drawers into an item inspector, I can open the drawers and then look at other stuff that's inside it, and then I'll put it into another container and I can look and inspect it in there as well, and being able to pull out of that and then being able to pick it up and drop it. So people take it for granted how much work it takes to be able to do that in a video game, in terms of the back end sort of coding side of it. It's been an absolute headache, but I finally got it there. Really, probably yesterday was when I really polished it up to the point it was okay, it's ready to sort of be to populate a level now. So
and you're doing this in Unity, aren't you? Is there not a drop and drag free outsourced version that you could have used?
There is, but it's not they're always no matter what you use, you have to heavily sort of modify it. And if I have to modify it anyway, and I'm learning code as it is, I'm quite intermediate at this point, nowhere near advanced. Christ. I can write my own scripts without having to look up tutorials now, which is great. It's one of the best things about games development, when you sort of get over that sort of hump of not having to constantly Google things every 5 seconds. When you can just okay, I've got this idea for a thing, you write it in code and then it works, and you're oh my god, it actually worked, and I didn't have to look anything up. It's when you finally sort of get to that point, it's great. So I sort of got to that, and I knew the inventory system. I know this is like riveting podcast stuff, by the way.
All the coders that are listening and going,
right? Oh yeah, it's good. This is why I subscribed, yo. Concept art is talking about code. This will be great. But yeah, no, like when I finally got it like working and stuff, it was a good moment. It was a week of solid work because it was something I was stuck on for a long time, and it's sort of why I dropped the project like months ago, because I was like, I'm never going to be able to like script a decent sort of inventory system where I can do all of this stuff that I'm thinking of. I'm just not that good. I'm just not that good at coding, and I finally like figured it out.
Now you are that good, Vin.
Yeah, but yeah, it was fun. Like I actually got it working like 3 days ago. Like I made a joke about this on Twitter, and people will understand. Like people that are learning code anyway. You get to this point where you're quite confident in writing stuff, and then you write it all out and it works, and you're like, oh, this is great. And then you look at the code and it's super hacky and crap, but it's got to interact with a load of other stuff in the future. So you go in there and clean it up, and then you clean it up, and then it messes something up, and now it's like, okay, it's broken again. And then you've got to spend a day figuring out why it's broken. Like I've done that like 3 times over the past week. But it sort of needed, like, this is like the one inventory thing, like it's going to be interacted with a lot by other sort of things, so it needed to be clean as hell. It needed to be pristine before like I sort of wrote it off and said, okay, it's finished. Everything else is super hacky and just is there to work, basically. Like if it works, it's fine, it's good enough. But the inventory system needed to be done properly, so that was the mammoth task of this week. But that's taken up most of my time.
Wow.
Yeah. But
that's really cool.
We'll get there though. Like I'll probably like we'll do a couple of episodes where we sort of show off each other. Like we'll have to do an episode where we just like talk through our own stuff, you know, like for the indie developers and stuff. That'd be a cool idea. I'll be good with that. Yeah,
that'd be good. I like that idea. I had a cool little moment the other day where I did that really weird rare thing where I was designing some levels. The design went without any hiccups. Reused most of like walls and assets and corridors and stuff from previous levels, copied and pasted over historic enemy animations, combined features which hadn't really combined before, and it just worked first time. I was just like,
that always worries me when that happens. It's like, all right, this shouldn't work that easy. Like, why is this?
It's like, what's going on here? That all like didn't take much time at all. And I was like, okay, this is a good place to stop. And that was surprising. Like, this is a good place to stop. It's not like, look at my watch. I got to just do this.
Right, it's 4 a.m. Crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is a good place to stop. So I had like it hadn't been a while since I had that experience. Like, enjoying the process from start to finish of like doing a level, like enjoying it, because that's the thing I've been struggling with the most, is like enjoying it. I know, which is like weird, but it's just boring.
Yeah, it turns into a grind.
Boring game design.
Yeah, it turns into a grind, and this is because I always like when people talk to me about this sort of stuff, or they ask for like advice and stuff on how to get started. Like I always tell them to like make sure you work out all of your core mechanics in a like within a gray box sort of level, like they call them gyms in like AAA games development, where it's just like basically just an empty level with just like boxes and cubes and stuff, and you figure everything out like in that space. So like how the character moves and like interacting with stuff, like just in that really boring space. Because the second that you start making levels, that side of it is actually really kind of boring after a while, like you're describing. And if you have to, like if you change a core mechanic and then you have to go through all the levels again and you have to redo all of that sort of stuff, like you're just compounding this boredom over and over again on yourself.
Yeah.
So make sure you just like keep it tight in this little gray box area, because that's where all the fun stuff, like as a developer, it sort of happens. And you're figuring all this sort of stuff. I was like, oh my god, I can pick up an object. Like right now, like most of my game objects, which I've like been talking about with my inventory system, I'm just picking up white cubes and dropping white cubes, and that's it. Like I'm not picking up anything really interesting or anything. It's
because you've not done any modeling or
right.
stuff. So what are you going to model in? Are you going to do some Blender modeling for your assets, so if they're going to be in 3D and moving around, or?
Yeah, I mean it's all pixel art 3D. So like,
of course, yeah.
So my main character is actually pixel art animation, but he's on a 3D plane in a 3D world, so then he can move back and forth and side as you would. But it's just the plane always faces the sort of it doesn't always face the camera, but it's always like a certain way. So like it looks decent, like in context, and you can interact with items and stuff. But all the objects in the world are 3D, but they're really like low poly, like lower poly than like PlayStation 1 games. But everything's got like pixel art textures on it and stuff, which is
okay.
a lot more difficult than you would assume because all the pixel sizes have to match up between different objects. So if you're like, oh, this book is too big, and you shrink it down,
But
like,
the pixels look good.
right? All the pixel like look really small on the book, and then they might be really big on the wall, and that crawls me when that happens in other video games. So like, because I'm a perfectionist now, it's like, right, okay, I've got to go and retexture the book or retexture the walls or whatever. So it's just like trying to figure that out as well is going to be a bit of a task. But I did do a like a test level in that style, and it looks good. So I'm sort of hopeful that it's gonna work out in the end. But we'll see.
I'm excited about it, and the fact you've just had like 2 weeks to crack it out, I'm just so jealous.
The worst thing about them 2 weeks though is like I've been cracking it out and doing all this sort of stuff. But because it's all in like the same sort of grey box test area, like it doesn't physically look like anything has changed. But in the background, like so much has changed. But it's still like the same dudes just walking back and forth in this grey area. And it's like, okay, I need to start making stuff now. Otherwise, people are just going to be like, it looks the same. Like 2 weeks of work, get out of here. So
yeah, that's how I feel with like the look of the levels that I've done. Because I've not done any like more level designs. So everything looks very similar.
Yeah.
But it's because I need to get the puzzles done. And there's no point like doing level designs if the puzzles need to be like rethought or it doesn't fit in with the story. So I mean, those are two important things.
This is the good part about having gyms and stuff like that when you're just in a test area, because you can figure out all your puzzles in one area, all of like your core mechanics and stuff, and then you're not like having to go back and redo boring level design stuff, which it's fun to play. It's just boring to make, but it is what it is. But
but I chose to make my levels out of circles, which is
that's what you get, man. That is what you get.
Stupid idea. Don't do that. Games, indie devs. That's my one piece of advice. Like, don't make things out of circles. Don't make straight lines out of circles. Make them out of straight lines.
That's the most ambiguous advice I've ever heard in my life, but it's all good. But yeah, other than games development stuff, anyway, I did play a couple of games last week.
What'd you play?
I finished off Mafia Definitive Edition.
Oh yeah, how was it?
I had such a great game with this. Such a great time with this game. Like I had no idea that it was going to be this good, and
it's really good.
Yeah, and the remake as well is just fantastic. Like people should go and check this out. It feels modern. It's great. Like the story's great. Like just how you build up to become sort of like one of the family and stuff like that, and you're just going through these levels and it becomes progressively like dubious in terms of like ethics and stuff. It's like, really, should I be doing this, sort of thing. And it's just a lot of them sort of questions going around. But yeah, other than that, man, like the actual remake itself, it looks fantastic. Like it looks like a modern game. Can't recommend it enough.
And how'd you get on with the driving?
Driving's good. Like it
like
feels like
cars and stuff.
Yeah, it feels like you're moving a wardrobe. It doesn't feel great, but in context, like it works because like you try and hit a corner and it's just like the car slides and hits like every building along the way, and it feels like it just, and they would be, I guess, because you're in the 1930s and it just the cars are like 10 years old at that point, sort of thing. Like they're still trying to figure out what a wheel is on a car, for Christ's sake. So it's like you understand why they're not like these perfect sort of what you call it, like drifts around the corners and stuff like that. So you have to like when you see a corner coming up, you have to really slow down to like going around and stuff. But really great game. I
got fond memories of that game for sure.
Yeah, the only criticism I really had was like how the world was, really. I mean, because like they got this massive open world of this made up city. They got this great sort of main story of this campaign, like you're going through being a mafia gangster and all that sort of stuff, and going through these great story beats. But other than that, like the world is sort of empty and devoid and pointless. Like you don't do anything else with it. It's like they had such a good opportunity to have like great side quests.
More immersive. Yeah.
Yeah, like just doing random side jobs for other people, or like having to like, oh, you can go and collect like the money from the family. It's like it's that time of the month sort of thing, and you go through and you have to do like submissions and stuff. Like they could have done so much with that, but it just the world is basically there for the main story, which isn't bad in and of itself. Like it works well for its purpose. It's just it doesn't really do much to expand upon that, which is a shame because it's such a great looking world and like it looks fantastic. Like, and it's not like the typical sort of prohibition noir style either. It's not like black and white and bloomy and things like that, like LA noir is almost.
Yeah.
It's vibrant and colorful, and like there's all these crazy characters, and like and you want to reach out and grab and sort of interact with it a bit more, but there's just nothing there. It's just like an empty world other than the main story bit, which is a shame.
Yeah, LA Noire had the same sort of critique about it being not fleshed out well, but you have to just play Mafia 2 and 3 now.
Yeah, there is that. I mean,
Because,
I am a lot more interested now. I am a lot more interested, so.
But you still need to play Mass Effect 2.
You keep banging on about this, I know. Like,
Let's play that next.
Yeah, I think I should probably play Mass Effect 2 and then go back to Mafia 2. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that would be fair.
Yeah, have a palate cleanse from like Mafia, go
Yeah.
sci-fi cleanse,
Yeah, this is fair.
and then get back into it.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be playing. I'm going to try Hollow Knight or The Last Guardian next. I don't know. Which would you? So in your situation, what would you do first, Hollow Knight or Last Guardian?
I never finished Hollow Knight. Game is absolutely amazing. I can't knock it for too much. But there was a very definite moment where like the difficulty increases to the point where it's too much almost. Like something happens where you just like you enter this one particular area that is just horrible, like in terms of design compared to the rest. It almost feels like someone else separately designed this area, which is the like people will know what I'm talking about, but it's the place for like the purple crystals, like the mines, and like that area in particular is just an absolute shit show, like in terms of design. Like every other area, like so if you can play the game and enjoy it, like really level up before you get to that area, because it made it unenjoyable for me. I just couldn't get through it without being frustrated. It wasn't challenging anymore. It wasn't like I could figure out like, okay, like I just need to be able to figure out how to do X, Y, and Z. Like there's literally enemies you can't kill, and there's enemies that will hit you off screen and stuff like this. It's just a big no-no for Castlevania games, and I really hated it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't quite get over the hump of that, and it felt like I was wasting my time because I was just doing the same thing over and over again. But saying that, the lead up to that, Hollow Knight is an impressive game. Like you should absolutely check it out. Like it's worth trying. Like it's cheap enough. Like you can get it almost on any platform. It's worth your money. I'll give it that. But if you'll finish it is another question altogether. But people that have finished it.
Interesting.
People that have finished it love it more than most Castlevania games, so I can't say too much bad things about it.
Yeah, it's got that reputation for it being a great game, so I'm kind of curious to see.
Be a good palate cleanse before Last Guardian, anyway. So
okay,
I did play one other game in one evening, which doesn't happen too often, but this thing just caught me, and I don't know where the hell it came from. But there's a game showed up randomly on Game Pass, like last week. It just popped up, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And it's called the Procession to Calvary. That's it, the Procession to Calvary.
Okay.
Never heard of this thing in my life. I had no idea that it even existed. It was like a Renaissance painting that had been sort of chopped up and comically like running around and stuff. I was like, this looks really weird. So
it's a painting that's running around.
Yeah, and I was like, what the hell is that? It looked like some shovelware or something. I wasn't really that interested in it, but I was like, I'm going to go and watch a trailer because this just looks weird. So I went onto the Game Pass screen and I looked at it, but it turns out it's a point-and-click action-adventure game, which is sort of based on... Have you ever seen like the Renaissance memes that have been hanging around? It's just like old Renaissance paintings, and some people have put captions to them to make them funny.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine that, but a point-and-click action-adventure game.
Okay.
That's what it's like. It reminds me a lot of... You remember the animations out of Monty Python?
Yes.
Like the show, like the old paintings that had been cut up, and it's just like wacky stuff is happening.
Yeah.
It's exactly like that. and it's basically a whole video game of that. And I finished this thing in an evening, and it was
just Terry Gilliam. Is that his name? Terry Gilliam.
Yeah.
The film director. That he was the animator for Monty Python. That's
right.
like what he first did.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's basically a whole game like that, and you're about this, like, to give a rundown of what the story is. It's you're playing as this warrioress or something, like you've just finished this war, and she just wants to kill people. Like she's just got like this murderous drive to like kill people. But the war ends, and like the king of like your leader or whatever is just like, yeah, you can't kill any more people. Like the war's over. And like, and your character's like, what? Why?
Can't accept that.
Like I can't accept that. I want to kill people. So it's like, well, you can go off to the other. Like, yeah, the war's over. Like the leader of the other thing has gone home, and like your character's like, okay, what if I go and kill the leader like of the other place? Like even if they've been defeated. It's like, you can if you want. So she's like, okay, victory. Like, I can go and kill. And it's just about you trying to get to this other leader so you can kill them. Because you've got, like, this murderous drive. But it's so comically done, and the humor's really dry, and it feels really British in that respect. You know, it feels like a Monty Python thing. It's very sarcastic. There's a lot of commentary on religion and things like that. But the way that the game is actually sort of built, it's based off... It's made in Unity, for one. But it's also...
Okay.
The artists have basically taken all of these open source Renaissance paintings, cut them up,
Renaissance paintings,
and sort of animated them and
turned them
merged
into game levels.
Yeah,
that's really clever.
It's super wacky, but finished it in an evening. Had a blast with it. If you're a fan of point and click action adventure games and you've got Game Pass, give this a try. Like, it might not stick with you, but it stuck with me, and like I really really enjoyed it. It felt great. It was a great little palate cleanse. It was just really random and just stupid comedy, really dumb, but a lot of fun.
Yeah,
well worth your time.
It's easy to get that right in the games world. So, and I remember you talking about this on Twitter because I shared with you because you said it reminds you of Monty Python.
Yeah.
And then I shared with you the Holy Grail point and click action adventure.
Yeah.
That's from years ago, like years and years ago. I remember playing that.
It just made me realize, like, it sort of reinforced why I am working on like a point and click action adventure game as well. Like the inventory system which I was talking about is basically built for this sort of game, and it reminded me why I was excited about making this sort of game, because I miss these sort of games. I miss games like Broken Sword, Beneath a Steel Sky, Monkey Island, you know, like Discworld, stuff like that, you know, from when we were kids. Like, I really miss that stuff, and this reminded me a lot of that, and I was like, yes, like, we need more of this. Like, why isn't there like more smaller indie companies making this sort of stuff? Because it's great. Like, it's so much fun, and the stories are brilliant, and it's just it's comical as hell. But yeah, well worth your time. Like, if anyone wants to check out the Procession to Calvary, like, yeah, it's great. I'd love to have a conversation with someone about this that's played it. So yeah, please check it out.
Well, if I can get my hands on a blooming Xbox anytime soon, still got that problem. Yeah, still got the problem. Still out of stock everywhere. Still can't get hold of one.
You'll get there. You'll get one.
I'll get there.
You're not missing much, honestly. Yeah, I think the Procession to Calvary is actually on. It's on Steam, and I think it's also on Xbox One, and might be on PlayStation 4 as well. So.
Oh, okay. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I would. Yeah, I've not. Yeah, I'll search for it and see where I can find it then. But if not, I can always get it on Steam. So yeah, because it's point click action adventure, I can play it on my crappy monitors. Yeah, fine. It's not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a serious game. Like, don't expect too much from it.
Yeah,
but
want it on a big 4K TV experience. Right. Yeah, it's not one of those games.
Such a great little game though. Like, we need more of it. But yeah, to answer your question, Sam, we were talking about Mafia Definitive Edition. Yep.
Oh yeah, sorry, Sam. Yeah.
It's all good.
So should we talk about how evil Nintendo is now?
We should, yeah, because aren't they just the worst?
Still?
No, it's funny.
Money grab. It's not evil. It's just money grabbing.
Yeah, I mean, like, to sort of dive into our main story today, which everyone else has been talking about, but it's just from a slightly different angle, because me and Chris have talked about this multiple times in the past. Anyway,
we knew it before everyone else knew it.
Yeah, we were complaining about Nintendo's being too expensive before it was cool. But yeah, there's basically a lot of talk of people being shocked and surprised and stunned by Nintendo's pricing plan for their new online sort of expansion pack, they're calling it. So they did have an expansion. They did have like an online service before, which is their sort of Nintendo Switch Online, which has got the NES and the Super Nintendo stuff in there already. Wow, I am super red on screen right now, thanks to this trailer, which is sort of playing
the trailers come up, right?
Yeah, so if I step
Nintendo,
away,
Yep. Nintendo,
indeed,
making our streams more difficult. They know it's because they know, like,
Right.
wow, we're gonna make this guy stream all red.
Indeed. But yeah, they've got this normal sort of service anyway, which is just their online stuff. You can back up your saves to the cloud, pretty much what everyone else has got. And it's only $20, so it's quite thin in features for that.
$20 for a year,
which is fine. You know,
Yeah.
like if it hasn't got a chat surface, fine. If it hasn't got groups and all that sort of stuff, fine. It's $20. Nobody cares.
You can play Super Smash Brothers online, you know.
Yeah,
And
for
you
$20.
get about 100 classic NES and SNES games. So,
Yeah, which is absolutely fine for what it was. But then
20 quid, bosh.
when they announced the expansion pack at the last Nintendo conference, which we watched it live, you can go back and watch that video as well. Like and subscribe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we watched it live and we found it at the time very, very suspicious and odd that they didn't announce
Their
a
wording
price.
was very suspicious. Yeah.
They didn't announce a price for it either at the time, which was strange. Like they don't normally do that unless they know that it's going to be bad, pretty much.
Yeah.
And our assumptions were correct apparently, because it came out and this sort of expansion pack which they're adding to the online service, which it sort of takes over it in some respects, but it goes from $20 to $50, which is a big jump.
Huge jump.
Yeah,
Huge
it's more than
jump.
double. More than double.
50 quid a year.
Yeah, for an online service that doesn't have chat, doesn't have groups, like you have to use an external sort of thing to use. The online service itself is absolutely terrible. Like Modern Vintage Gamer did a video on this not too long ago, and he spoke about the sort of speeds that you can get from the online service, and like the maximum you can sort of cap out is at like 80 megabytes up and 30 down or something, which
And is that bad?
which is serviceable,
Just
but
nothing.
comparatively to the Xbox or the PlayStation, which are charging the same amount for their online services,
Yeah.
they get like 800 up, 50 down, 100 down even. So it's like we're talking 10% of the competition, but the same price.
Wow.
There are other things, obviously, with the Nintendo subscription that you do get, which is the Nintendo 64 games, which are great, but you only get 10 of them.
But like an N64 emulator, what's that? Most money, 20 quid or whatever?
Yeah, or free for the most part.
Or free, depending on...
Yeah, depending on which way you sort of which way you swing and on your ethics and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this was the main crux of it, is the fact that there's a lot of people that are sort of shocked by this and like, oh my god, Nintendo are charging way too much and all of this sort of stuff, which I wholeheartedly agree with. But
yeah,
I would probably argue that it's always been this way. This is
or 80 quid for a family plan. Seven Nintendo accounts. 80 quid for the family to play.
Which is going to be the way going forward. Like, there's going to be a group of friends in Discord that are going to be like, okay, I'll be the one that buys it. You all chip me $10, and we'll just
That's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
So there'll be that probably, or like if they restrict it to one, if they restrict it to like a single Switch, like there's going to be hell broken loose sort of thing over this. But you know, it's.
Do they have to be on the same network for it to work?
Yeah, that is a good question. I'm not sure. Like, we don't know how this is going to work out with the family plan stuff anyway, because I'm not even sure if like the normal online service has a family plan already. But yeah, it's very bizarre. But what this basically feels like, though, like there's obviously other stuff as well. Like there's the Nintendo Genesis stuff, which is on there, but you can buy the Nintendo Genesis basically collection, or the Mega Drive collection, whatever, from just as a physical edition, like as a game. And it's got all the same games in it, and it's like $40 or something. So why would you pay $50 a year? So the Genesis stuff is a slightly bit more like passable in my opinion. Like the only thing that you're really getting out of this new expansion pack is the N64 stuff, and it's just, is that worth an extra $30 a year? And it's sort of like, I don't think so. Like I just.
So if you want to get kitted up, you got to pay, and you want to get your family kitted up, So you got to have more than one N64 controller, if you want to get that nostalgic experience. So that's 100 quid for two Bluetooth N64 controllers.
Yeah.
80 quid for a family plan. It's getting ridiculous.
It's adding up. Yeah, Sam just mentioned that the current Switch family plan can be used across multiple consoles. Yes. So, like my assumption,
whether or not it was network, like internet. That's what we were questioning.
Yeah,
be on each.
I can imagine it is.
Console.
I can imagine it is like across like multiple networks, because if you leave the house or whatever, then you should be able to still play your games online. So I'm guessing what's going to happen is there's going to be groups on Discord that are just going to be like, yeah, I'll pay for it this year, and then everyone sort of gets access to that. It's just basically what we do with Netflix already. So it's just going to turn into that. So
yeah, and so people are finally switching on to the fact that this is a bit egregious and a bit ridiculous, and they're just money grabbing. And we've been saying it for a long time, but the people seem to be getting the idea. Or is this one step too far? Is this like the straw that broke the camel's back?
I think so. I mean, because this is the strange thing. Because normally Nintendo,
networks.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo normally do quite well with their fan base no matter what they sort of put out. But in this case, like this video with like the sort of trailer for the expansion pack, the overview trailer, it's got 15k likes, and then it's got 43k dislikes. So
wow,
for a Nintendo thing, like that's impressive almost.
Yes.
So I think you're right. Like people are starting to cut on, but like I said, I would argue like they've always been this way. They've always charged way too much for their games. Well, not charged way too much for their games, but they're like over a long period of time. The fact that Breath of the Wild 1 is still $60, and like they rarely have a sale, and like all of the launch games for the Switch hold their value almost. Like, and that's sort of manufactured value almost, because Nintendo just never have sales, so it sort of keeps that sort of stuff. And I would argue, like if they just cut the price down on a sale every now and then, they would probably sell twice as many units, and just they'll make a lot more money out of it. They're just very stubborn because they've got this sort of weird archaic vision that they are the Disney of video games, and they like to keep stuff in the vault and take it out and put it in, and like everything's got like value to it and stuff, which is their prerogative. Like they're a company, they can do what the hell they want. But I think this is like as you said, the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yeah, in terms of at least opinion, because before they could do no wrong, could they?
Right.
But this seems like people are like, that's not good enough. But I'm thinking, I'm looking at secondhand. Like, I'm like, should I get a secondhand Switch? Buy secondhand games? They're not going to get any money if I go down that route. So
yeah. I mean, it's bizarre, man. Because like this came straight off the back of another story which Nintendo had last week. Because Kotaku were in the news again last week, which was one of their writers suggested that people should go and pirate their games or whatever. All they were saying.
Yes, the article was like, oh, the emulators run really well.
Yeah.
And it was just come out. Yeah.
Yeah, and which, whatever, it was a stupid comment, but at the same time, it's sort of like, not to defend Kotaku in any way, they should not have written that as a major outlet. Like, it's really dumb for them to do that.
Stupid for a media outlet to have that as an article.
Yeah, they shouldn't even. Well, I don't even know it was an article. It's just like a really bad offhand comment, which they just should not have made, because people focused on it for the right reasons. Like, it was just, they were advocating piracy. They weren't advocating the emulation scene, because I would argue that emulation and piracy are sort of separate elements. And they're often sort of mixed together, which they shouldn't be, because a lot of it is like there's an active sort of emulation scene out there that are just there for games preservation, or they just want to run games better. Like I own Breath of the Wild, but I ran that on a SEMU emulator on the PC, so I can play in 4K at 60, versus the 30 FPS. And I own the game. I own a Switch. Like, is there anything legally dubious about me doing that? The answer is probably no. Like, there shouldn't be, because I still own the game. I still own the system that can play it.
Well, legally, yes, but morally, no, I'd say.
Right. But it's the line where I draw with sort of emulation is that if you're emulating a game from a system that is now not being produced anymore. Like if you physically can't buy that game firsthand,
Yeah, you couldn't have bought it. You literally don't have the option. Yeah,
then I would say like you're probably okay to emulate at that point. But if you're emulating current gen games, which is where the Kotaku article sort of came in to question, then
solely for the purpose to circumnavigate paying X amount of money, then that's not cool.
Yeah, so that's sort of where my weird line is for emulation. I know it's arbitrary, like nobody cares, right? But the point I was trying to get to is that the reason why people are looking more to emulation for Nintendo stuff is because of their ridiculous prices. Like this is why people are switching to piracy. Not myself, like I buy my games, I support developers, but for like the average Joe that's just like, I do not want to pay this price. Like you can sort of see where that weird thing comes from the back of the head, like where they switch over to piracy. So it's these sort of things, like the expansion pack that's come from Nintendo, like what the backlash that they're getting from it. It's all connected.
What did this sparked up that comment that Evan mentioned on Twitter, where one of the comments off the back of this article was, you don't have to worry, you can pirate and emulate anything because it's a human right to have access to culture or something.
I have seen this argument before. Like,
so that was someone's opinion, and it's just like, right, okay. I mean, yes, there is a human right to culture, but you could argue that video games aren't culture at all. Like, there's an argument to be had to that. I would disagree with that argument, but like, what is culture? How do you quantify culture? How do you package that into a thing and say, I'm being denied access to culture, so therefore I can just steal this for free?
Yeah, then people need to be loaded into cannons and shot into the sun, because that is not how the world works. Video games are a premium product that you pay for because they are premium products. They are not toilet paper. Yeah. They're not sanitary products. They're premium products that we're talking about here.
And it doesn't say you have access to any culture you want, regardless of the price. Like, as long as you can get culture for free, you've got your right. Like, it's not a pick and choose kind of jobby.
Yeah, which is astounding to me. But like, I don't know, that sounds like slightly hypocritical, like based on the fact that we're complaining about like the pricing structure of Nintendo's like online services.
Yeah.
But it's more about like the commentary on like seeing that people have started to wake up and realize that Nintendo are doing all of this sort of stuff, and how funny that is to me. Because at the end of the day, like, Nintendo can do whatever the hell they want. Like, you vote with your wallet. Like, if you don't,
it's capitalism at its finest, isn't
exactly.
It?
Yeah,
they're just setting the price that they want to set because they can. And
yeah. And all you can do, like, as an individual, is just vote with your wallet. Like, okay, like, this is way too expensive. Don't buy it. Don't fix.
So there's people with multiple Switches.
It grinds me, man. Absolutely grinds. Like, I remember, like, back in the day, you used to have arguments with people. It's like, the DS has sold X amount of millions of units. It's like, how? And then you ask people, like, how many DSs do you own? Like, the average, like, Nintendo fan, like, I've got 4 of them. I got my import from Japan. I got my one from Europe. I got the special edition large version and stuff. It's like, okay, how many of them DSs are actually in individuals' hands? That's the number that I wanted to know. And it was just like this constant weird sort of meta game that people have made out of the games industry of, like, who's winning, who's better, who's doing best, and all this sort of stuff. It's really bizarre to me, like, the whole thing. But it is strange that, like, Nintendo have always been floating on top of the zeitgeist, and now they're starting to sink down a little bit because, like, they never drop any prices on games, but the online service is too much. Bizarre. Really, really funny to me.
Yeah, it's a bit weird. We'll just have to wait and see what happens, see how well it is. I mean, one of two things are going to happen. People are either going to buy it or they're not.
Right.
And if they do buy it, then this is just going to keep perpetuating. If they don't buy it, it just might be one of those things where only, like, again, Nintendo, if no one buys it and only a few people do, I wouldn't be surprised if Nintendo does nothing about it except...
they will not. Absolutely not.
Not, like, develop it, run with it, do more with it. They'll just leave it as is, and it would just be something that generates some money for them that they don't have to worry about. I think that's probably a win for them.
Yeah, I mean, Nintendo never readjust in that way anyway. Like, what they normally do, and it's very much like a Google mentality as well. Like, Google do this a lot where instead of fixing something, like if something's not working out for whatever reason, like if it's something that's fixable, they'll just ignore it and they'll let it die. And then when it dies, then they'll move on and make something else in the future. And Nintendo are very much in that same sort of wheelhouse. Like, they won't drop the price of this thing. What they might do is add more and more games to it to make it a bit more beneficial. So instead of having 10 N64 games, like there might be like 50 by the end of the year or something. Well, not the end of the year, but like the end of next year or something. And if that's the case, then the question about is it really worth
start
it and
to do
stuff.
more and more.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
can
so
add
they can
you can add value to it.
Yeah, by them not giving too much more.
Right. But
They can make it,
that would take some time and effort though, and I think there's only so many Nintendo 64 games you can really make, because like as much as like Nintendo 64 is sort of seen in the sort of zeitgeist as like this great console, which it is, it tanked. Like, it was a terrible console. Like, it didn't do well at all. Like, people forget this. Like, go and look at the numbers. Like, if you don't believe me, like, Google it. It was a failure. Like, to this day, like, it did not do well whatsoever. There's a reason why they completely course corrected after the GameCube and went into the Wii, and they was like, all right, we need to figure out how to make money again because this just isn't working out. N64 did not do well because it just didn't have that many games, and a lot of the games that it did have were licensed, and a lot of the best games that are considered on the N64 are games like Banjo-Kazooie, like GoldenEye. These are licensed games that are no longer owned by Nintendo, and they can't re-release these. So no matter how long you wait, we'll never get GoldenEye on the Switch. We'll never get like a lot of these licensed games on the Switch, which is unfortunate. It's just the truth of the matter, and it's just how it is. But it remains to be seen like what extra value they can add to the online services. Like, I really don't know what else they could do at this point, because they've got NES, SNES, N64. They can't add GameCube, really. I don't even know if it's not really powerful enough for GameCube games. It's really not.
No,
because it's made by the same. It's made with the same chip as the NVIDIA Shield, and I've tried emulation on the NVIDIA Shield for GameCube, and it's just not. It doesn't work that well. So they're stuck with those systems. They just need to add more value to it, because they will not decrease the price, that's for sure. But if they had like a chat service or something like that, that's another thing they could do. They could add all the other online service infrastructure stuff to sort of bring that value forward. But for now, it's just not something that I'm going to invest in. Like, screw that, basically.
Yeah, it's a crappy one. But we'll just have to wait and see. But it's a good job people are coming around to our way of thinking. I feel vindicated. Feel like it was good. Sam's gone. Bye, Sam. From a while ago, I think.
Indeed. Yeah. But I mean, this is another thing. Like, if Nintendo announced like a new thing, I'm pretty sure this is why they wrapped in the Animal Crossing sort of expansion DLC in with this, to sort of like, hey, it's a Trojan horse. It's not really that much more expensive. Look at all this Animal Crossing stuff. But for the first time, people actually saw straight through that and were like, yeah, no, like, this isn't good, sort of thing.
What? The other thing about that Animal Crossing thing is they've had the update, and I don't know if you've seen this, but people are just losing their minds over the frog chair.
I have no idea what this is about.
So in Animal Crossing, there's an update, and there's some new stuff.
Okay.
You can buy a chair that looks like a frog.
Okay.
That's it.
Wait, so people are losing their mind, like, negatively or positively?
No, positively.
Oh, okay.
They're in love with the frog chair.
Right. And this is my point. Like, if any other company did this in the games industry, no one would give a shit. Like, all people would say, oh, it's microtransactions, or it's money grabbing, all of this sort of stuff.
No. With Nintendo, it's...
They put
a frog chair in. I love it.
Right. Yeah, and the frog chair is with the DLC, which is wrapped into the online stuff. So you have to pay $50 to get that frog chair. See what I mean? Like, this is how they work, and it's no different to any other company. It's just Nintendo are very, very good at their.
They're just good.
They're good at hiding it. They're really good at hiding it.
Yeah.
It's like people like the amount of conversations I've had with Nintendo fans that have said, oh, like, Nintendo don't do microtransactions. Like, the most egregious statement in the world. It's like, have you ever heard of what an amiibo is? It's microtransactions. Like, you scan it into your game, and it gives you items. Microtransactions. It's just physical microtransactions, that's it. But you get a cool little statue with it. It's like, okay, that's cool, but they're still selling you microtransactions. You're just really like, you're not bad at recognizing that it's really good.
The wrapping paper is just really top quality.
Right, it's really good wrapping paper. It's amazing wrapping paper on these microtransactions. But and there's nothing wrong with that. I think every company should be able to make money however they want. It's just when
there's nothing wrong with it. It's just knowing that what's happening, people just don't realize it's happening to them.
Yeah.
But that's the best part of that's the best form of like capitalism in a way.
Absolutely.
It's like they just love it and they buy it because it's great. And you can't argue with what the quality of their product.
I do not blame Nintendo for this at all. Like they are geniuses. Like how they've gone around this, like well played to them, because they've figured
the frog chair looks great. It looks great. Not a crappy looking frog chair at all.
Right.
And the fact that they knew that would make so many people happy is really clever.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they knew that people were going to they knew that there'd be some items that would be an absolute hit. They just knew.
Yeah.
And it is. And
I mean the only thing which I have a problem with any of this really is just the fact that it's my same argument which I have with everything. Like I wish the criticism was like across the board, like of this.
Yes.
Like if you're going to criticize X company for this, then we should criticize Y company for that. Same thing. And it's just Nintendo get a lot of free passes, unfortunately. Not through like, it's no fault of Nintendo. They're just doing what Nintendo do. Like they're making great games. People love their games, whatever. But like if we're gonna focus on certain things, then we should be doing this across the board, including Nintendo. And I'm glad that like people are downvoting the video and stuff. But how many people won't actually buy the online service is another question, because people really love Animal Crossing, and if this DLC stuff is wrapped into the Animal Crossing stuff, then they're gonna get the numbers out of it either way. So it's
how many people that downvoted it are paying for it? That'd be an interesting stat.
That's what they're the numbers I want to see. Like how many people are like, if you've clicked that downvote button and you've also bought it afterwards.
And you've also liked the frog chair. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And it's them sort of things, but they're the numbers which I want to see. But
because that's not voting with your wallet. But that's again Nintendo doing a really clever thing where they're giving you something you want for the price that you don't want, but it's just that desirability.
Yeah. From a business, like I said, from a business standpoint, this is genius. Like Nintendo, like high five to them, like for capitalism and all that sort of stuff, and I'm wrapping all this sort of stuff in, as you said, like the really nice wrapping paper. But yeah, man, God, I wish it was even across the board, But
it just would not fly with Microsoft or Sony. Like there would just be huge waves.
Can you imagine? Like this is the context we're talking about here. Can you imagine if Sony came out next week? Okay, we're not only going to double our subscription service, we're going to double it and then add maybe another 50% onto it. So it's like what, 120, 100, it's like $150 for an online subscription now.
But you get a model of like.
But you get 10 really good PlayStation games from 25 years ago. Like you get 10 PlayStation 1 games for double the price. That's basically what they're asking.
Yeah.
That's the equivalent. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And if you put it that way, like people would laugh Sony into the ground. Like it wouldn't have even 15,000 likes like the Nintendo video. Like they should have 0, and rightfully so. Like, oh my God, 10 PlayStation 1 games? Sign me up for $150 a year. That's basically what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And it's bananas to me. Like it's absolutely crazy. Like how people are only just now started to tune into this a little bit, and here we are. It's crazy.
And here we are, two indie devs that are going to try and manipulate people to buy our video games.
Indeed, our crappy little Unity games. But we're not charging like, I don't know, $50 a year for them now. Thankfully, like our indie games are going to be like, what, $10 each.
I'm going to charge everyone a subscription, $50, but I'm going to give them really nice wrapping paper.
Chris, no one will buy it.
No one will buy it.
No,
I know no one's going to buy the game anyway.
You should always expect that from your first game, no matter what.
Yeah.
It's the second game, dude. It's the second game that does it.
What? I mean, are you counting this as your second game? Because is this like your real proper second game?
I guess.
Or is this? Depends how you count it. Because if you're talking about games line documents, it's like your 15th game.
That's fair. Yeah.
If you count it about releases, you were in a team with the first one, weren't you?
Yep. So this, I don't know.
If you're counting it versus like professional career, how many actual
how many
games have you released?
On?
A lot.
Yeah, I honestly, I've lost count. And I not in like a. I don't mean that in like in a modest way either. It was just I really don't.
La di da.
No, I kind of forget. Yeah, I don't know. It's probably going to be around 10 or something.
And you probably, and also you got in your mind, you got to filter out the NDA stuff as well.
Does that as well? I think that's the part that sort of messes me up more than anything. But I get like I would consider this like my first game, like as just me as solo developer sort of thing. Like that's the only thing.
Yeah.
But I'll probably bring in more people on this one anyway. Eventually, it's just I need to get over the hump of actually making the game. Like I need to. Like, I'm still thinking about if I need voice actors for it. I still need to think about like if I can figure out a music, like if there's going to be any music, and if there is, like is it just going to be more than one track? Because if it's only one track, then I'll be able to like find something that sort of works,
like royalty free sort of track.
Yeah, or like I know people as well, like I've known like a few people that make music and stuff that are like really good at just doing like ambient stuff, because that's really all I would need. I wouldn't need them to come into the game sort of work with me on it. It would just be like, okay, I need like 3 tracks that I can cut up and use myself. So it's more about like, do I need to hire a freelancer or just like buy one piece of music for one X amount or whatever? Like there's a load of weird sort of issues like that, but for the bulk of the work, it's just myself, I guess. So I would consider this my first game by myself.
Yeah. There are sites you can go onto and just buy tracks, like buy the license for the track to use in the game. Yeah.
Yeah. Some people are nicer. Like some people are just like, yeah, you can use it. Like just credit me for free, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then you do a quick sort of contract with them saying that they agree to that, and whoop whoop, done, fixed. So.
If you need an awkward English podcast actor,
right? Yeah.
So I'm gonna do my own recording for my game.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do yet. I'm gonna get the words in and like get someone to test it, and then see like, is it missing that sort of flavor? Does it need voice acting, sort of thing? Because if the answer is no, because I've just played the Procession to Calvary, as I just said, I had no voice acting.
Yeah, there's no acting there.
Yeah, it was all text. I had a blast with it. So it's odd. I mean, sometimes it's very hit and miss, but the old sort of action adventure point and click games which I used to play all had voice acting, like Broken Sword and Monkey Island and things like that. So no, Monkey Island didn't have voice acting, the original.
No.
Anyway. So this is what I mean. Like you can't even remember half of the time if they have got voice acting, because it doesn't really matter. So I'm hoping like my game holds up by itself like that. That's like a wish, but I have no idea until you're there, you know. But we'll see.
Yeah, it's exciting times. I really can't wait for it. It's gonna be good.
Yeah, yours too, man.
You're totally going to release yours way before mine, and I'll be like, damn you.
No, if you're building levels, you're way ahead of me. Although my level is quite small, like my game's set in quite a small area. It's just one little bit, which I utilize the hell out of. It's not really backtracking or anything. Like you do progress through the level, but it's a relatively small space, which I like smaller games, like in terms of like physical location, that I've just got like, it's really dense with stuff in there.
The fully realized place.
I prefer those instead of just having like a massive area which has just got nothing in it apart from points of interest, which you just got to run through.
Ages to get from one place to another. Yeah,
right.
I get you with that.
Like the older I get, like the more I sense that and I feel that. It's just like, yeah, just put me in a single room and I have to figure stuff out, and I'm good with that. Like that's fine.
Well, so that is really old. That is such an older mentality, isn't it? It's like, I've done with like wide open spaces. Just get me in a nice little cottage and let me figure out this thing.
But it comes back to things like Assassin's Creed. Like you're standing like from one side, and you see the marker in the distance. You're like, all right, get on the horse.
That's not what happens in the game.
Right.
The guy doesn't go,
but you would in real life. Like if you went back to like 900 AD in England, and like, okay, like you've got to go from Norwich to London sort of thing, and you saw London in the distance, you're like, oh, okay, get on the horse. Like that's how you would feel. And that's sort of what I'm getting to with video games at this point. It's sort of like, okay, just I wish everything was just in Norwich, you know, sort of thing. That would have been the better game.
That's what. Do you know what? To be fair, I think that's a really good point. I think Assassin's Creed would have been a better game if they'd just done one big city. But then, like, did they do that with Unity? But people liked it for that reason, didn't they? Like London, they had like massive.
Yeah, I mean
London.
This is the irony when it comes to gamers and Assassin's Creed. Anyway, whenever Assassin's Creed does anything 3 times in a row, it's quote unquote it's quote unquote lazy, dull, boring, repetitive, whatever. And then if you change it and then do it for 3 times, then it's lazy, dull, boring. But then at the end of that cycle, they're like, oh, why don't you go back and do like the old thing, which we used to call boring and dull? And it's like, wait, what? Like, why?
Can't win, basically. Yeah.
You absolutely can't. So it's sort of like if they went back and just did like a single city Assassin's Creed, people would love it for one game, and I'm like, oh, this is boring again. It's like they're never happy, basically. So, but saying that, I am first to admit that like Assassin's Creed is getting quite formulaic at this point, and most Ubisoft games are, to be fair. Like that's a fair assumption. Like they've sort of carved out that sort of stigma for themselves, and I don't disagree when people sort of criticize our games for that. But yeah, it is what it is.
I think that is another reason, though, that financially they do really well and they sell a lot of copies, and the silent majority want what they think they're going to get, and it's the silent majority that are going out there and buying that. It's just those picky, tweety people.
Picky, tweety people. That's fair.
That don't like it.
No, I mean that's what all this conversation comes down to, including the Nintendo stuff. Though it's just people. As much as people complain about this and downvote videos and all this sort of stuff, it's like at the end of the day, if the money is coming in, then are they quote unquote doing anything wrong? Really? Like, no, not really. They're kind of doing something right because they're a business and they're earning money, and they're like, if they're generating this income like on a steady basis, then can you really fault them for doing any of this sort of stuff? Like, people don't vote with their wallets. Like, as much as people complain and downvote and tweet and all this sort of stuff, they don't vote with their wallets ever. Like, it's just, this is the deal. So this sort of world.
And the people that, and also I would be really interested to look at like people that put in the hours into Nintendo games over like Xbox or PlayStation, and I wouldn't be surprised if value for money Nintendo is on the top. Like with people, the amount of times people replay Nintendo games.
I agree.
Once I've bought them.
Yeah, and the irony of all of this is that people constantly complain about other companies doing the same thing over and over again, but Nintendo are literally the guiltiest of everyone for doing that. Like they rehash ideas, their IPs are very, very similar over and over again, but they're great. Like they're
because
fantastic.
That's what people want.
Exactly.
Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, people want another Mario game where you're just 3D
I want
Mario
another Mario game.
running through the landscape, just like Mario 64, just like Mario Sunshine, just like Mario Galaxy, just like Mario Odyssey. It's the same pattern over and over again. And the next time they see Mario on screen, like yourself, like when we were watching the E3 stuff, I want another Mario game. It's like, why, Chris? There's like 9 of them. Like, they're all the same, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, people like that.
I want more.
Because you want more. But like, with other companies, people don't have the same sort of leniency because, it's... You got me on a tirade. Yeah. That's
It's a bit like ice cream, isn't it? It's like you have different flavors of ice cream, but ice cream is still ice cream. And people like ice cream. And that's it. The end.
No, that's fair. Yeah. No, but what this all basically comes down to is just vote with your wallets, man. Like, just don't. If you don't like the Nintendo stuff, don't buy it.
Then don't buy it. Yeah.
It's really that simple.
Or at least come up with what. No, I don't want to say that because gamers are quite quick to say what they do want. But think about what you want and have that thought thoroughly realized before you criticize what a company's doing and then say what you want to happen. Because all the time they go, oh, you should just do this, and then that thought is always a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, I see it all the time. Like, I see it all the time for Ubisoft stuff a lot because obviously I'm in that company and I see. I see what gamers are asking for constantly. It's sort of like, well, you didn't want that last time, or you did want it, but it wasn't that well received, or like whatever. It's like this sort of stuff happens all the time, where they want certain things, but it doesn't come to fruition in the way that they were expecting, or if it does, then they were a very small vocal minority that remembered the old ways, and the newer generation just doesn't care for that sort of stuff. Like, whenever people talk about, like, Splinter Cell or whatever, I don't know anything about Splinter Cell. I don't know if we're working on it internally or whatever. Like, I have no idea. I don't really play them games. What I do know is that the last Splinter Cell game that came out, like, people weren't praising it as the high mark of video games. You know what I mean? And now people are asking for it back, and it's like, well, you didn't really appreciate it, like, a lot last time. So why should they go back? It doesn't line up, like, for a lot of this. And it's the same with every other company. Like when people say, oh, they should go back and make this game, or oh, they should go back and make that game. It's like, should they? Really? Like, did it do that well? Like in the past?
Yeah.
Because most of the time, it's not really the case. And it's like you said, I think people just need to take a step back and, like, at the end of the day, these are premium products we're talking about, and they cost a lot of money to make, a lot of time, a lot of effort. If they don't come through just because you put a random comment on YouTube like, oh, you should make this game, it should be really good and stuff, it's like, yeah, well done you. Like, do you know how much effort and time that takes? It's like, it's not a 5-minute turnaround sort of thing. But
yeah. But I tell you what is a 5-minute turnaround.
What's
Frog
that?
chair.
Frog chair. Indeed. Yes. Indeed. And there'll be an amiibo by it by the end of the year, and everyone will buy it. And people are like, what? Nintendo are great. This is the world we live in. But yeah. It's all good. Anyway, we should probably wrap this thing up anyway.
Yeah, it's a good place to end up when we get a bit angry.
Frog chair. Yeah. It's usually the way. Oh, well. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you want to sign us out?
Yes. So thank you for listening or watching, depending on what medium you are using. We do use Anchor. Make sure you don't give us a thumbs up, whatever you do, but it does help the algorithm if you did want to do that. And leave a comment, subscribe if you want to see more of the videos. We are using Anchor to publish the audio version of the podcast, so you can be on Apple, Spotify, all the different podcast services. Check us out. We'll be uploading that very shortly. But in the meantime, if you wanted to check out Vin's game, because he's doing I'm sure he'll be doing some posts about the game, or if you want to check out his art, he has some links that he can tell you what they are right now, Vin.
Sure. Yeah, you can find me on ArtStation for my concept art stuff, which is Vin Hill Art. You can find me on there. And I've got a load of stuff probably coming for Extraction pretty soon, like within the next couple of months, I guess, like whenever that game comes out. I want to see a dump for that. Yeah. Yeah, I've got like 20 concepts or something that are all going to be dropping on the same day, which is going to be pretty cool. But other than that, yeah, you can find me on Twitter. I am at Hillthought Games. I'm going to be posting up more of my indie game because, like I mentioned in this episode, like, I've been working on it like crazy over the past couple of weeks. So all of the pretty stuff starts happening now, like all of the cool animations and like the 3D world and stuff, and be able to like actually see what the game's going to look like instead of just like this. Hey, look, it's a pixel art dude walking around in a grey area. So yeah. But it's all good. But how about you, Chris? Where can people find you and your awesome indie game shenanigans?
So yeah, I got my I did say it before, but it's worth saying again in case people skipped. Before, on YouTube, I'm at Acrylic Pixel on YouTube, and on Twitter, I'm at Acrylic Pixel. So that's where I'm posting that stuff there. And friend us, follow us, all that sort of good stuff. And we'll probably see you again next Monday, if you choose to.
Indeed. Well, next Sunday live, but...
Sunday live, yes. Yeah.
At the very latest, we get our episodes up on Monday. So, yeah.
Audio version, yeah, usually. Yeah.
Indeed. All right, cool. Until next time.
Cool. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.